Okay. How's it going, everyone? I am just, as I always do, sharing this with a bunch of people. So, you're going to have to bear with me here. Cancel, discard. Trying to share this via phone, and it's not working quite in the way that I wanted to. Space, space, space. No one's here yet anyway, so I don't have to worry so much about it. Paste. Okay. Welcome, everyone. You can see from the title of the video here today that we are here to celebrate a very special milestone in the history of this channel, which is that I have achieved 1,155 subscribers, which, as we all know, is the emerald scale, or the emerald height of YouTube. Let's make that a thing. Hashtag emerald. These live streams are always an interesting thing because I usually jump in here without much of a plan of what I'm going to talk to, but I do know there's a couple things that I want. There is actually 3 people who are currently watching, which is great. So if you want to pop into the comment section, let me know who you are. If you have questions for me, I would love to do an old-fashioned Q&A if possible. You will also notice that I always have something in my hands because I am a fiddler. And so it always feels weird if I don't have something to actually play with as I'm talking. So bear with me. We do some fun things here on my live streams that I do every month, which is I love playing the game Trivial Pursuit. It's a weird hobby of mine, but I'm going to ask some questions to you, see if we can play along. You can play along at home to see if you are as smart as you possibly think that you are. I don't look at the answers first, so I try and play along with you. But I would love to know if there are any questions that you have. 1,155, 1155, that's how many people have actually clicked on that subscribe button, which is very exciting for me, mostly because there was a time when I was first starting out on YouTube that 1,000 subscribers just seemed like such a far off goal and something that was just not even possible. And to get to that level, to get to that 1,000 subscribers mark, and then in about 5 to 6 weeks get 155 more is pretty bonkers in my estimation. I think that that's really, really cool. And hopefully that there's just more people out there that want my brand of whatever this is, because I don't really quite know how to describe it necessarily, other than just awkward conversation. Come for the awkward conversation, stay for the pasty white guy. That should be the tagline on my channel. Okay, I'm just gonna pick some random cards here. Hi everyone that's out there, all 4 of you. Let's start here. Let's start here on this card. Actually, no, because I just looked at the answers quickly, so let's go there. Okay, so here's perhaps an easier one for you. The ancient Roman town of Pompeii was destroyed and preserved by the eruption of which volcano in the year 79? So the ancient Roman town of Pompeii was destroyed and preserved by the eruption of which volcano in the year 79? I'm pretty sure I know what it is, but put your answers in the comments below and we'll see who is right. I'm going to ask all 6 questions and then we'll have a bit of a discussion about it. So the last album, as I go through puberty, the last album to feature the original lineup of Funkadelic has which unappetizing title? Who out there in the audience is a huge fan of Funkadelic? So the last album to feature the original lineup of Funkadelic has which unappetizing title? All right. Oh, here's a good question for the US viewers out there, because I don't think I have a clue. How many members are there in the US House of Representatives? Is it 335, 435, 535. So, how many members are there in the U.S. House of Representatives? 335, 435, 535. Mariella down in the chat is asking if I speak Spanish, or at least I think that that's what that translates to. And the unfortunate part is no, I do not. I really wish I could, though. I'm trying to learn French, which is going okay, but not in the best possible light. I keep telling people I'm getting really good at reading French, or kind of understanding what it's saying, but to actually speak and to hold a conversation of some kind is not the greatest in the world. What is the style of painting that uses opaque watercolors? What is the style of painting that uses opaque watercolors? Don't think I know. Fifth question here. Alfred Nobel, father of the Nobel Peace Prize, made his fortune with the invention of which powerful tool? Alfred Nobel, father of the Nobel Peace Prize, made his fortune with this invention of which powerful tool? Again, write those answers down. And then lastly, linen fabric is made from the fibers of which plant? Linen fabric is made from the fibers of which plant? Stephen is online here. Oh my God, 11:55. That's amazing. Well, thank you so much. People are congratulating me on the 1,155 subscribers. I know it's unimaginable, really, when I think back on it, that anybody would even want to join me in this journey of self-discovery, of puberty, of all the stuff that has gone on in the last, we'll call it 8 years of producing videos online. To be honest, I thought I'd be the president by now, but I mean, some dreams still need to be attained. Oh dang, my mind is blank. I totally should know the linen question, is what Book Babble says down in the comments below. So let's find out what some of the answers are on these questions. So first question that I asked was, the ancient Roman town of Pompeii was destroyed and preserved by the eruption of which volcano in the year 79? So it is Vesuvius, I'm pretty sure. So yes, Mount Vesuvius. In 1748, the town was discovered mostly intact beneath layers of volcanic ash. Oh, some other people congratulating me down in the comments. Thank you so much. I'm really excited about the support I've gotten. There was this, so to pull the curtain back a little bit so you can see behind the scenes of my production, it's really just all smoke and mirrors. I don't really know what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. However, I watched this movie called Call Me By Your Name, and I really, really liked it. I was a big fan of it, and because I've been thinking about it for a few days, I was like, I think I need to make a video on this, because otherwise I'm just going to be thinking about this movie, and this will let me get all my thoughts out and just put it out into the world. So unbeknownst to me, once I uploaded that, it got a ton of responses, to the tune of, I think it's at 6,300 views on that video. So not a viral video in any interpretation of that, but way larger than what I mostly get on my channel. And something like 200 likes and a couple hundred comments. There was just a lot of engagement on that video. So then I was like, man, okay, so people seem to be enjoying this commentary on the movie. So what I'll do is I'll just go read the book and then compare the book and the movie. And it hasn't had a huge, as big of a response, but still almost to 2,000 views on that video comparing the book and the movie. And then a similar response with the comments and the likes and stuff like that. So again, it's a pretty good engagement. Now, I can't turn my channel into the Call Me By Your Name channel. I can't just keep talking about it. But I think that it is those topics that Call Me By Your Name brings up, like sexuality, dating, coming out, LGBT, that type of stuff I've already been talking about already anyways, but I think it just means I should talk about it maybe just a little bit more. And definitely I'm going to follow Armie Hammer and Timothée Chalamet to some of the other projects that they're working on, just so I can kind of continue that conversation of those actors. Mariella down in the comments says, that's why I'm here. Call Me By Your Name. Loved your review. Thank you so much. I'm kind of am hoping, there's actually rumors that they're going to make a sequel to that movie, which I discussed in my videos, and a part of me really wants them to, because that's a great way to, you know, build out my brand, so to say, if you want to get really gross about it. Maybe Timothée Chalamet or Armie Hammer, if I could speak, will become guests on my show. They'll just come sit down and we can discuss it. That will never happen. Okay, the second question I asked was, the last album to feature the original lineup of Funkadelic has which unappetizing title? Doesn't seem to be many Funkadelic fans down in the comments, but their album that featured the last remaining members was Maggot Brain. One of the most delicious albums of all time, Maggot Brain by Funkadelic. So for the US people out there, how many members are there in the US House of Representatives? 335, 435, 535. I'm gonna guess 335. That's a complete guess on my part, and I would be wrong. It is 435 representatives. Stephen asks, have you looked into other LGBTQ movies to review? I have. There is one coming out here fairly soon that I'm totally blanking on the name of. Let me just put up a new tab here. LGBT movies. That has already gotten some pretty... Oh, there it was. Yeah, I Love You, Simon, I think is what it's... Oh, Love, Simon is what it's called. It's based on a book as well, so I might be able to do a comparison kind of in the same way. Watch the movie first, maybe, and then go and read the book and compare them. But yeah, Love, Simon is probably the other one that's on my radar to go and talk about. I doubt it's going to have the same, I don't know, themes and stuff that Call Me By Your Name has. Call Me By Your Name very much is like a, I'll call it like art house film or like artistic film, where Love, Simon looks like it's more of like a big budget like teen movie type thing. But I think it'll still be pretty fun to talk about. Yeah, what is the style of painting that uses opaque watercolors? What is the style of painting that uses opaque watercolors? Oh gosh, I do not know how to pronounce that. Gouache? Gouache? Maybe? We'll say gouache. Alfred Nobel, father of the Nobel Peace Prize, made his fortune with the invention of which power tool? The answer, does anyone have the answer? The answer, oh, is dynamite, as well as other forms of high explosives, sorry. All right, and then finally, linen fabric is made from the fibers of which plant? So the linens, if you say it's an actual linen, what plant is it coming from? Apparently it's coming from flax. So that's flax seeds, or the flax plant, I guess. All right, well, we're about halfway through our live stream here. I guess it's time to go to the second card. I was supposed to have a guest here today, but they didn't show up. So this is me vamping and making things up on as we go along. I'm just quickly looking at these questions. Are these fun? No. Let's do another one. Okay, great. So, which North African stew is also the name of the dish it is cooked in? So, which North African stew is also the name of the dish it's cooked in? Steven's asking if he wants me to video call in. I don't think you can do that on YouTube. Stupid YouTube. Can't do things that everyone else can do. I don't know if I could even give you a name of a single North African food, that says more about me than anything. Okay, we'll come back to that question. On which animated 1960s TV series was the household appliances powered by animals? This is really easy if you grew up when I grew up. On which animated 1960s TV series were the household appliances powered by animals? Everyone should be able to get this, hopefully, unless you're like super young and have never seen this show. Who was the only non-comedian to appear on Jerry Seinfeld's web series, Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee? Who was the only non-comedian to appear on Jerry Seinfeld's web series, Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee? Fourth question. Which newspaper was founded in 1889 to cover financial and business news? Christopher is here, and I'm pretty sure he has the right answer. Without even me looking at the answers, I'm fairly confident. Which newspaper was founded in 1889 to cover financial and business news? After oxygen, which is the most abundant element in the human body by weight? Is it calcium, carbon, hydrogen, or nitrogen? So yeah, after oxygen, which is the most abundant element in the human body by weight? Calcium, carbon, hydrogen, or nitrogen? Okay, and finally, jib, spinnaker, and lateen are all types of what? Jib, spinnaker, and lateen are all types of what? Steven says that Obama was the guest on Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. I'm guessing that that's correct because I'm pretty sure he was on that show. But let's go through these. Let's see who is right, who is wrong, who's going to just take the home game with them as they leave because they didn't win any of the cash prizes. Which North African stew is also the name of the dish it is cooked in? Answer says tagine or tagine. This is me not knowing how to pronounce things properly. Has anyone had it? Is it good? I've never had this dish in my life, as far as I know. On which animated 1960s TV series were the household appliances powered by animals? And the correct answer is The Flintstones, which we got. We're in a chicken dinner for Christopher down in the comments below. When I was a kid, The Flintstones played every afternoon, like every weekday afternoon. So during the summer holidays, and definitely if I ever had to stay home from school because I was sick, The Flintstones came on at like noon, I think, noon or 1 o'clock, somewhere around there. It was sandwiched in between Sally Jesse Raphael, and I think Who's the Boss came out on right after it. It was a weird television station I was watching. Regardless, The Flintstones came on, and of course I loved it. It was a cartoon, and I thought it was funny. I had no idea that it had anything to do with the Honeymooners, which was a big ripoff of from back in the 50s and 40s. Regardless, when I was watching it, honestly thought that the Flintstones was like new, like they were making new episodes for me. It wasn't until I got super obsessed with The Simpsons, which was kind of like my first fandom I was a part of. I used to actually write reviews for Simpsons episodes when I was in university on a now defunct website. It doesn't exist anymore. It was bought out by TV.com, I think, and then all the reviews went away. Christopher says he thought it was so gross that they shower with a mammoth's trunk, which I agree. No, thank you. So I honestly thought these were new episodes, and then when I got really obsessed with The Simpsons, and I was like, the internet was becoming a bigger thing then, so I was like researching online and on forums and all this other stuff. That's when I found out, when I looked back at all these TV shows I was watching, it's like, IMDb was coming out, so this is where it started. Like the first episode aired on this date, and the last episode aired on this date, and I was just like, the Flintstones debuted in 1963 or 1964 or something like that. I was like, what? Like I was so blown away by it. Like it just could not even. There's no concept in my mind that was made in the 1960s. Like the 60s were so old, man. They were like way before my time. Like how could they make something like this that was like 30 years ago? Well, now look at me. I look back and people are like, the 80s and 90s are so old. I'm like, shut up. Other fun fact, and maybe prove me wrong, but the Flintstones is the first show in America that showed a husband and wife in bed together. So, fun fact for you. Steven says, I never thought into things like, you were never into things like that, or never thought I'd be into things like that, Steven? Let's get back to our questions here. Which was the only non-comedian to appear on Jerry Seinfeld's web series, Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee? Answer is President Obama. I don't know if anyone was or is a David Letterman fan at all. I was a huge David Letterman fan growing up. I actually would often sneak out of bed at night to go and watch it when my parents didn't know I was watching it. Regardless, he ended his show obviously here a few years ago, but on Netflix, he has this new show, My Guest Needs No Introduction, I think, or My Next Guest Needs No Introduction. And it's an interesting release schedule because it's only one new episode every month. So it's been 2 episodes. I think the 3rd episode just came out, but I haven't had a chance to watch it. The first episode was President Obama. The second episode was George Clooney. And this 3rd episode that I have not seen yet is Malala Yousafzai, which, if you don't know her, look her up. She's great. An awesome memoir that she wrote here a few years ago. But what I enjoy so much about this new David Letterman show is that because he's not, I guess, tied, like he doesn't have to try and be funny all the time. He's not playing necessarily to an audience, even though there is an audience there. They're having these deeper conversations with these people that are coming onto his show, and it's just really just a fascinating look. I'm a huge fan of interviews anyways, or let me rephrase that. I'm a huge fan of well done interviews, so things that go past just the surface level and dig a little bit deeper. And there's some great interviewers out there who are able to bring that out of their interview subjects. And David Letterman was able to do that with certain people back on his old show, and now he's just bringing on friends and people that he knows to have these longer conversations. And the Obama one, I guess regardless if you like him or hate him, which I know that he's a bit of a divisive figure, I just think it's just a fascinating conversation he has with him. Christopher says, nothing like telling someone you're born in the 80s and having them ask you if television had existed that long ago. I know, it's getting real bad. There was a conversation I was having with some young people the other day, and by young people I mean like early teenagers. And I was talking just a little bit about like my upbringing and my friends and stuff. And they just like brought up this like, why didn't you just text them? I'm like, with what? There was no smartphones back then when I was like in high school. So there was no way for me to text somebody because it had not been invented yet. Or put in another way, it was probably invented, but there was no way my parents were buying me a cell phone in high school. Which newspaper was founded in 1889 to cover financial and business news? Any guesses? It's the Wall Street Journal. After oxygen, what is the most abundant element in the human body by weight? Calcium, carbon, hydrogen, or nitrogen? This probably would have been easier if I knew which of these is actually heavier than all the other ones, because that probably is going to play into it just a little bit. But it's carbon. It's fundamental to the building of molecules. Last question here was Jib, spinnaker, and lateen are all types of what? Jib, spinnaker, and lateen. Sails. Oh, yeah, okay. Well, that makes sense. I knew what a jib was in that context, but had not heard of those other two at all. So I guess we don't have many sailors out there in the audience. Although I do love seamen. So let's see. Let's do one more card before we wrap it up here today. Which one? What questions do I like? Okay, let's do this one. Okay, so question number 1. The remote island of Rapa Nui, home to 887 Moai, is known by which festive English name? I am probably butchering so many words in this question. The remote island of Rapa Nui, home to 887 Moai, is known by which festive English name? The first item ever to be sold on eBay was what? Was it a broken laser pointer? That's a blast from the past. Okay, so a broken laser pointer, a grilled cheese sandwich, or a box of Twinkies. First item ever sold on eBay, broken laser pointer, a grilled cheese sandwich, or a box of Twinkies. Which newspaper did Amazon founder Jeff Bezos purchase in 2013? Yeah, Amazon is buying up just so many different things, and I'm not a huge fan of that, but that's the world we live in. Max Brooks, son of famous comedian Mel Brooks, wrote which timely guide to living through the coming zombie apocalypse? I do know the answer to this, and what's fascinating is that I had for years knew about this book and did not think that these two people were related. What was the occupation of Laszlo Biro, the Budapest man who invented the ballpoint pen? So, what was the occupation of Laszlo Biro, the Budapest man who invented the ballpoint pen? Finally, the word scuba is derived from an acronym that stands for what? So the word scuba is derived from an acronym that stands for what? Okay, let's go through these answers. Rapa Nui is actually Easter Island. The people with the big faces. Those massive carved stones are thought to have great religious and political meaning. As far as I know, not that I'm like a huge historian or archaeologist or anything like that, but apparently Easter Island, like those big faces, those big stone faces that we know of, there's actually bodies of those faces that are buried deep into the ground. So it's just been like years and years of, not erosion, the opposite of erosion, where like they just get buried underneath. So there's actually bodies to those faces, and as far as I know, they actually don't know what the actual significance it was officially. Kind of same thing with Stonehenge in England, which is they have a bunch of theories, don't really know what they were. The first item bought on eBay was a broken laser pointer. There was a time, talking about old times, if you grew up in the 80s and 90s, there's a time that any sporting event or any live event that you would watch on television, there's just these laser pointers that you would see on people's faces because people would bring them and like shine them into people's eyes. And what a time to be alive, right? Which newspaper did Amazon founder Jeff Bezos purchase in 2013? It was the Washington Post. And he only paid $250 million for it. Who says there's no money in news anymore? Max Brooks, son of famous comedian Mel Brooks, wrote which timely guide? Well, he wrote the Zombie Survival Guide, which would then be spun off into World War Z, which I believe he also wrote. What was the occupation of Laszlo Biro, the Budapest man who invented the ballpoint pen? He was a journalist. He combined quick-drying newsprint ink with a ball bearing to make a smooth writing tool. And then finally, Christopher, I think, is right here. The word scuba is derived from an acronym that stands for what? Self-contained underwater breathing apparatus. That is the answer, which is the answer that Christopher provided. Well, thank you so much for playing there at home. This has been my live stream for this March. Thank you, everyone, for being a subscriber. If you are a subscriber, tell your friends and family members that we need 1,155 more people to join into the conversation. You can expect this coming week. On Monday, my plan is to have a video up about music specifically and how there's a certain genre of music that I like quite a bit and how I got there and what my relationship with music is. And then on Thursday, the title of it is just going to be Who Will Speak for the Dodo? And that's all I'm going to give to you about what my Thursday video is going to be about. It's actually about Stephen in the chat, but don't tell him that. Just keep that between you and I. If you are a Patreon supporter, I am going to be ending this live stream and then starting a live stream over there for my Patreon supporters right afterwards. So you can definitely see more of this over on my Patreon page. And that's where we'll continue our conversation. Thank you so much again for people coming by. And we will do this again, of course, next month. I don't know the date yet. April is going to be weird because I'm doing a very quick trip down to San Francisco. So I have to try and do that in between that trip. And I have a bunch of different events going on at Media Lab, which is my business, on every Saturday. So sometime within there, it'll happen. But I'll let you know on what's going to happen. So, all right, I'm going to stop streaming. I'll see you in April and also Monday and